The Match Ball.
Good evening. Welcome to the Match Ball. Dan here with Michael and Rob. Fulham FA Cup exits 2-0. Brought to you by Levi Solicitors. Remote appointments available for you now, no matter where you are in the UK. Have a look at the online booking facility at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Maybe next year for the Cup?
Maybe next year.
It's been a good year, hasn't it? 5th round. We'll really look back fondly on this cup run.
I mean, it was better than losing to Watford with Scott Wootton scoring that goal.
There was none of that photo of him, which summed up the entire of the 2010s.
I did feel a bit like that today with that game. Some of the chances we missed, and they scored some fair goals too. They should have choked them off. So you can't be scoring from so far out. It's not fair, is it?
Yeah, it was like that. Who's the Sheffield Wednesday player?
Adam Reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sticks in the memory for that, doesn't he?
No! I'm not having it!
But unfortunately, there's going to be plenty of people who get upset in the wake of that and point out all the things that were wrong. But fundamentally, we take our chances in that. We were the better team. I thought up to a certain point in that game, it was fine.
It was fine. Yeah. They didn't create any chances, did they? That I can remember particularly.
There's the two they put in the net.
They weren't chances though, were they?
Yeah,
really.
Looking at the stats at the end of the game, there was no big chances for either team.
Right.
And the XG was, they had 0.2, was it? To 1.38 of Leeds. But yeah, need to take our chances.
Like we could have shot from those exact same places they did, and they would have ended up in the Thames.
As we saw when Jack Harrison cut in from the left.
Oh dear, Jackie.
Sort of the same position as, was it Solomon who scored their second? But yeah, nobody expected Jackie, bless him, to recreate that.
I mean, in fairness to Fulham, we will say shooting is part of the game.
It is. It is an accepted, conventional part.
So being good at it,
yeah,
I guess you could.
Is permissible.
You can kind of accept that as a way of scoring goals. But yeah, it felt the first one in particular. It was like, because we were playing quite well, weren't we? At that point, not brilliantly, but like all right. And then that went in, you were like, that's not fair. That's too much of a punishment. Because it was Adams gave the ball away, wasn't he? Passing. I don't think Rocker expected it there, but then he just had a touch and blasted it in, and it's like, no, not fair.
What did you do that for?
I did a Marco Silva. I was chatting to you, and you were like, Rob, they've scored. I was like, oh, right, okay. Never mind.
Kirky, I think, has it right in the YouTube comments. We're live streaming this on YouTube for our TSB Plus members, by the way. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Priority access to the match ball as well for the analysis after the games. Kirky is saying, burn that stupid kit, never get a result. And you know, I've been totting up in that second half when it was quite obvious we were going out of the FA Cup. We won it at Brighton, lost. Brentford, lost. Spurs, lost. And then Fulham, lost. I can't think if we've won it otherwise.
If we did, we've lost in it. We've not won many games this year, have we? So it's kind of easy to check the wins. They were at Anfield? No, we wouldn't have done, would we? Yeah, I can't... I mean, there were lots of things wrong with it as a performance.
Like, we can't finish, but
overall,
a lot of wayward passing, which was very frustrating.
Overall, it was still sort of all right.
We controlled the game, didn't we, for the most part? But was that part of their cunning plan?
Yeah, I think what's more annoying than Fulham's good finishes and our wasteful finishing was the amount of times Fulham just kicked the ball out of play. They must have done it about half a dozen times. And you thought, come on, lads. The away end sounded great. You thought, go on, just get a goal, get a bit of momentum, give it a bit of a push. But it was never, ever going to happen. I think it was that one towards the end with a bit of a goalmouth scramble, and McKennie, it sort of deflected off him and rolled wide, wasn't it? And you thought, yeah, it is not happening.
Yeah. I mean, there were chances there. There was obviously the goal that was disallowed.
Should have counted.
They probably called it about right. We were watching on the BBC. We weren't watching on the radio today, were we?
No, the radio didn't have that one.
Watching on BBC One.
Yep.
In that it was a bit of a push, and because the ref gave it, he's probably never going to overturn it. But if he's not given, maybe they don't look at it. I mean, it was Wilson flying through the air, as he does.
Which should automatically mean it's ruled in our favour.
Yeah, he's such an... I mean, I've written he's a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got... fuck off Harry Wilson in somewhere here between the 14th and 20th minute.
See his face. Anyway,
we got into some fairly libelous stuff off air, didn't we? When that game was on, which again is the reason why we would never live stream. The match.
Yeah, some of that stuff wasn't great, but all true. So that was annoying and should have counted. And then Ruta did really well with that header. Actually, that was the one bit of almost good finishing that we did, because the ball was, he had to really crane his neck round, and he managed to get like the side of his head on it and hit the post.
Yeah, that was a brilliant effort. Nonso did put the ball in the net, but he
Should have counted as well.
Yeah, he was well on. Didn't draw the lines, did they?
Different.
Because they're scared of the truth.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Different phase of play.
I think the defender's, Tim Ream's long arm was dipping in.
Correct.
Probably playing him onside.
Correct, yeah. I mean, yeah, so I've got the 15 minutes VAR bullshit I've put on my notes. 21 minutes, ridiculous goal. Rocco weak. That was in the tackle, wasn't it? Adam's pass, I've put in capital letters. Then 8 minutes after that was Nonto's offside goal, so we should have been 2-1 up by that point.
There were other chances as well.
Then Ruta hit the post, we should have been 3-1 up.
Yeah, and there was the one where Somerville and McKennie did quite well, but then McKennie could have had a shot or could have passed it to Somerville. In the end, he passed it to their goalkeeper. Rocco had a shot from the edge of the box. There were a few half chances in there, or things that should have been chances, which we made a mess of.
Ruta had a couple at the start of the second half where he kind of had his back to goal and held it up well, but turned and shot and didn't quite get it right. I thought Ruta was good tonight, but there was a few instances similar to McKennie's pass to Somerville where they tried to play Ruta in on goal, but it was just a bit too long for him. And he looked quick, he looked like he could get through, but the pass was just too overhit. And yeah, we needed to get him into the game more. I looked at full time and I think he had 17 touches, which, bearing in mind, Aronson had 10 in about 27 minutes, or I think 17 minutes, in fact. Yeah, we just needed to get him the ball more. And I think, yeah, that balance of midfield with the three in there, but it kind of left Ruta alone a little bit, a bit stranded. I think Gracia's been chatting about it in his presses, saying they need to try find that balance between not going defensive, but not being all-out attack. And you saw them try to find that balance tonight, and I don't think they got it quite right.
Yeah, McKennie had to sort of play two positions at once. It felt like in this formation he was trying to be the support for the striker and play midfield, but he often looked a bit isolated up there, I thought, I guess Somerville and Nonto were the two that are maybe trying to support him, but I don't know, maybe holding the ball up isn't quite his thing.
Question for you, do you think we maybe try and force it a little bit too much sometimes through midfield? We saw some wayward passing in midfield. It seems like they're still not composed enough on the ball, maybe. Is that what I'm after, the phrase I'm searching for? It was just a little bit loose.
I don't know if it's forcing it. It just felt like we've made some... Because I know what you mean, the way we've played a lot this season has been forcing it, just nailing it forwards, trying to get through the middle. But the passing that was bad today was the one that led to the goal, for example. Stuff like that, where you're not trying to force anything. It was a fairly basic pass, and whether it was because Rocco wasn't anticipating it or whether it was mishit, but it just looked sloppy, was all you could say for it. It looked like Rocco just wasn't expecting the ball to be passed to him at that point because he was completely flat-footed.
Yeah, but he should have stuck his foot in. Because I've written down the word weak.
There you go then. You've spoken.
It's the first time that midfield have played together, I think I'm right. So maybe that's part of it. Rasmus at centre-back.
Yeah.
I thought he defended all right, but on the ball he can be so frustrating at times. So it didn't quite go. I thought actually against Southampton, one of the things they did well with their passing was that they mixed it up and occasionally they would go long or just chip it down the line and found Nonto in space. Whereas tonight, yeah, a lot of the short passing and stuff like that was where they kind of came unstuck.
I mean, there's a few people there's a real mixture of responses about McKennie in particular. Because I thought he was quite good in terms of his involvement in the game, but there were loads of moments where his passing was crap as well. And a real mixed bag for midfield, I think.
I thought he did all right tonight, I have to say.
Plenty of stuff that I watched. That's good, is that? You've done well there. So that's just some intelligent play. And then maybe it was just the ball. Maybe sometimes it just doesn't fall for you, on any particular game where you just can't find passes or whatever.
And if you're asking him to play further forward, I guess you're relying upon him to be able to hit a through ball and stuff, aren't you? Which is not, it doesn't seem to be particularly his game.
I think he's kind of lived up to his reputation so far. And I thought first half in particular, he was finding nice pockets of space and his engine kind of gets him around the pitch. But yeah, he's come with this reputation of lots of energy, find space, don't expect him to play the killer pass. And I thought we did tonight. We missed that kind of number 10 proper ball player.
Do we lay any blame at the door of Ilan Meslier for the goals, or do we just say, look, sometimes these things just go in?
I wouldn't say so at all.
No.
He was maybe in a slightly weird position for the first one, but that's because we lost the ball in our own half, and then they immediately shot and scored with a brilliant effort.
Yeah. If the player has a couple of touches, you could argue he needs to start edging back to goal and get himself in position and stuff, but we gave it away, and a second later the ball was curling rounded him into the net. So, and the second one's again, it's a really good finish.
And that's the difference, isn't it? Is people just putting the ball in the net. Good players with making good decisions and good finishes, and it explains why they are where they are in the league. Because I think I read earlier on today that they're sort of outperforming their XG, and I know people get annoyed at like XG being cited as a metric, but it is an interesting metric to look at, isn't it? Just to give you a vague idea about the pattern of games and attacking threat and all that.
I mean, tonight's interesting because it's a defensive performance in terms of teams carving out chances. It's probably one of our best of the season because they didn't create anything. There was the Mitrovic goal that was disallowed where he was miles offside, but had he been onside, it would have still probably caused us a problem because of our positioning and stuff. But I don't recall many bits of watching that game where I'm going, Jesus Christ! Look! Like earlier in the season where you're pointing at people going, fucking hell, what are we doing?
Well, this is basically 2 games now where we've for a lot, to a large extent, kept 2 teams down to nearly no chances.
It was that Mitrovic offside goal was the only moment where you went, why, what? Because Rasmus just seems to leave it. And I really wanted to watch that back thinking, did he know he was offside? Was that like ridiculously cool from him? Or was it just a complete miss of the ball?
He looked like he ducked under it, didn't he? It was weird.
I think he sort of lunged at it in the general direction of it, but it was nowhere near it, was he?
Must admit, pre-game we were looking at, because we were saying all the lineups seem to have Rasmus at centre-back, and we were like, that's not right. It'll be Ayling, won't it, surely?
And it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
I didn't mind it because I don't really like Ayling at centre-back.
No, I don't.
And I don't really like Rasmus at right-back.
Do you like him at centre-back?
Give him a go. It sort of went fine, didn't it?
Here's an interesting theory that Tom's just put in the comments on YouTube. Thank you, Tom. Javier sorted the defence out. If he can do the same with the attack, we're sorted.
Well,
can you make players finish chances? I guess you can practice it, isn't it? It's training. It's what training's about.
Yeah, and you can really put them on a plate. Is the other thing you can do. Just pull it back to someone a yard out to tap in.
Do we lack composure?
Yeah, there was a lot of missing composure today from the McKennie not playing that ball to Somerville or shooting through to Aronson, dragging him on wide, Adams dragging him on wide, Rutter putting one over, Jackie putting one over. There were enough chances in there that we should have got something from that.
It dawned on me the other day. I was trying to think of Brendan Aronson shooting and what it reminds me of. And he shoots like Adam Forshaw, doesn't he? You just never think he's going to score. Like, he's such a weak-legged man.
What about this then from Zach, who's saying the difference between the 2 squads is that Fulham have prioritised pure technical ability while our players have more physicality but less potential for bangers. Interesting thought, isn't it, that if you put together a side for Jesse Marsh to run around a lot and Adams in particular to sort of destroy and whatnot, then now you're trying to do something a bit more possession-based, a bit more technical. Mind you, can you excuse it down to lack of technical ability that you can't pass to your teammates or you can't put it in the net? I don't know. Or is it sometimes just a bit like that?
I feel like we've got players in with technical ability as well, because I wouldn't look at like Somerville and Nonto. I think they're both technically good players. Nonto had a good shot saved as well. We didn't even talk about that, did we? When Rutter went through and then he played the through ball and Nonto took it on his left. That was a decent shot and a good save.
I did say to you earlier on that do you wonder sometimes about Somerville's composure? Because you saw it when he went through against Southampton towards the end in injury time. They pulled that shot just wide. And sometimes it's all a bit frantic for him. He's not quite got that, composure, yeah, for want of a better
I think that's kind of the player he is, though.
I was going to say, is that just because he's quick?
I think he just does things quick, and he's a twisty sort of, and occasionally quite greedy player, as I think was the Southampton issue, is that he just thought, I could score here, so I might, which I sort of don't mind.
Confident was the way I preferred to look at it. He's a very confident lad, Somerville. You can see in the fact that he's wearing the number 10 shirt.
Yeah.
He likes to back himself, which I think, fair play.
And that he had a professional photographer take pictures of him on his birthday party when Jesse Marsh had said he wasn't to go anywhere.
Oh, dear.
Never mind.
And Alistair's there mentioning confidence in the comments, the differences that they're playing like we did in the first Premier League season. And we just look nervous a little bit, trying to walk it in as well.
Well, I suppose you look at goals and that first Premier League season and the way Bamford was playing versus the Bamford who came on tonight, it just seemed to be offside all the time. When it was going in the box, I just didn't expect him to be in the right place. And if he was there, I'd be thinking, he's probably going to head it over. You can tell we sold those mugs, can't you? Tucking him down there. If I had them left, I'd be like, oh, he's great, he's coming back.
Slurpy, slurpy.
No, the mugs are gone, and he's gone.
Everything dies.
But he didn't look... I mean, based on today, I'm sure Bamford will start, but would you attempt to give Rutter a go on against Chelsea?
Yeah, it feels like... you mentioned him earlier, you thought he played all right. It feels like he's sort of growing into it a little bit now, getting up to speed with the Premier League, and I think he showed some nice glimpses tonight when he got on the ball.
Yeah. And it's one thing if you were dropping the Pat Bamford of a couple of years ago for him, but dropping him for the Pat Bamford of now wouldn't feel like much of a risk, I suppose.
I think Bamford will start.
I think he will too.
At the weekend.
He absolutely will. I don't know why I'm talking about it. Sorry, everyone.
Just apologising. I'm just looking through the chances. Yeah, I mean, the things I've mainly noted down.
I should have had a really strong opinion on that. I've been furious about something. That's what you've got to do.
It's good to do on the internet, yeah. Aronson shooting wide. We had the scramble where nobody put it in. Cock tried to cock one in.
He did.
It was off the line again. Then Adams put one wide. Somerville chance into injury time. Story of the night, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just one of those days. I mean, I did quite want to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, maybe in a different lifetime, eh?
I found it really weird tonight. I walked in and I was like, do we want to win this? I couldn't quite work it out because obviously everyone's kind of stressed about staying up, but it was the start of that second half when they were 1-0 up and we had a few chances to start the second half, and just that away end sounded great. You thought, oh, go on, do it for them. It would be great if we could upset this. And then they went up the other end and scored. So, maybe next year.
Yeah, FA Cups are for other teams, aren't they? Not us.
Yeah.
Can't be getting involved in that sort of business. Not this year.
We played all right, though. We did, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did, yeah. And sometimes you can look at games like this and because you lost, your automatic assumption is there must be something hideously wrong. I don't think there is. We just didn't take our chances.
I was trying to perform like a little thought experiment on myself, thinking that exact performance under Marsh, what would I be saying? Would I be like slagging us off more?
I think
probably would.
I don't think we'd have got that exact performance under Marsh, though, because we were a lot more attempting possession-based football there.
It does have that kind of Marsh storyline of have a load of chances, miss them, and concede our customary 2 goals a game. But I think, Fulham scored 2 belters, whereas previously under Marsh we'd have conceded the same goal that we saw over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Which I guess there's some solace in that.
It's 2 games in a row now where there's not been a ball to the far post and a completely unmarked man, and they haven't just at some point during the game been through on goal from absolutely nothing, because that seems to keep happening as well, particularly in the late Marsh era. We'd have the ball and then a second later we're like, all right, there seem to be no defenders there and someone's walking through the middle of the pitch. Brilliant. In terms of our relationship to the FA Cup, Gary has suggested that we treat it as a competitive friendly for the manager to assess the players. I mean, it is
that's how we can retrospectively apply it. I did say that, didn't I, in the build-up to this? It's more data.
Genuinely is useful for that, because we're trying to play, like you say, that midfield 3, that's not really happened before. So, and I can see that is something that might be useful as an option for us as well later in the season if we're trying to be a bit more solid in certain games, or maybe trying to close out a game. You can have that as your setup. So it is useful.
I've got a question for you, Rob. Sorry, we'll come back to you in a second. I was just going to say, Steve's asking how old you were in 1998 when we lost to Wolves in the Cup.
I'd have been 4, depending on what month that was.
Do you remember it?
No.
So it would have been in springtime, wouldn't it? About this time of year, if we would
have been 4.
Maybe slightly further down the line. Calendar one. I don't know.
It says a lot about how Leeds fans kind of refuse to speak about that game, in that I didn't even know it happened until I was about 27, I'd say. I only really found out about it.
That was our great cup run.
I was going to say, if you look back on it, and I think Moscow's spoken about this before, Kevin Muscat was chucking mud. Was it at Hasselbank when he was taking the penalty it would have put us in front right towards the end, wouldn't it?
It's weird how we look upon that as a near miss in the FA Cup, but it was like, was it a quarter-final defeat?
But I think it opened up at the draw, hadn't it?
Yeah, I know, but it's not that near, is it? Like it was showing in the John Motson compilation, it was showing Steven Gerrard scored in the 90th minute against West Ham to equalise, and you think that's a near miss. losing in the quarter-finals to Wolves, it's not even close, is it?
No. Gracia's comments are now starting to trickle through on socials. Phil tweeting to say that he said, shall I do the accent or shall I just read them? Okay. In this moment, I'm really disappointed. In my opinion, we were a little bit unlucky. We created many chances. We were not clinical. We didn't finish with composure. All the things we've been saying.
I suppose we had some stressing moments, didn't we?
Yeah, made me stressed watching our finishing. Gracia says the disallowed goal, that's the Rutter one, was very, very soft.
A fucking piss take, he said.
Is that right?
I think so.
Said it very quietly.
Yeah.
Did you see Johnny Cooper's stats at half-time
No.
about who the last Leeds keeper was to keep an away clean sheet in the FA Cup?
Is it John Lukic?
No.
Nigel Martin?
Kasper Ankergren
Yes.
against Scum.
Against Scum, 2010. And considering we've basically only been drawn away from home since then,
Wow.
doesn't bode well.
That's 13 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just saying, it's a very, very obvious fact, but it is, isn't it? We don't do much in the Cups, do we?
Nah.
20 years since we've been this far. I hope it's not another 20 years. Nearly be dead then.
No, we've been this far before. We lost to Watford.
Oh, to the quarterfinal.
You're pretending we got through. We didn't.
In the same way that we're pretending we beat Liverpool.
We'll be talking about this in a year as a near miss in years to come.
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember when we got to we scraped through against Cardiff and then we played fairly well against Fulham and
If only
lost.
McKennie's pass were closer to him.
Oh, I said we lose 2-0 though, I think.
You did. Well done.
So that was good.
Do you want the badge or a medal or what do you want?
Don't know, really, just a sense of disappointment.
Oh, you get that anyway. Seems to be your default position. Anything further to add then before we wrap it up? Just thoughts on the game generally or where we go from here? Post-mortem. It was fine, wasn't it? Mostly.
It pretty much was.
Yeah.
I guess Verba comes back in. That's probably about it.
Another game closer to Rodrigo being back as well.
Yeah. How long is that?
A few weeks, said Phil.
Okay. Yeah, we do look like we need someone who could score.
Yeah.
Go get Graham Potter sacked at the weekend, and it'll be in a good week.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? 6 points in the league
Mm.
in a week.
Did Chelsea play this week? They don't, do they? Or do they play in the Champions League? I'm trying to wonder if they could sack him.
I think they play Champions League next week.
Or is that
after us,
next week?
Isn't it?
Okay, that's good. So they probably won't sack him yet. I'm thinking if he could lose tomorrow night, they might sack him. But no, good. He can stay in a job until we beat them.
Well, there you go then. I think, does that wrap it up? Are we happy to draw a line under it there? It's very late. Bedtime time for cocoa and slippers, isn't it?
Bye FA Cup. Daft competition.
Until next year. Yeah, we will wrap it up there then, and we will look at this one a little bit more. We've got maybe some more propaganda later in the week. Nah.
Not from Fulham.
Weekly show.
Fulham fans are nice anyway.
Yeah. The old feta quiche eating lot. They are, aren't they? Can't get upset. Like Southampton's fans when we listen to them on propaganda.
Yeah.
Far too bloody reasonable. Yes, so we will wrap it up there. Back with the Phil Hay show again before the end of the week, where we'll get some insight from Phil as well on that. Preview Chelsea. We go again. Come on, we'll be all right, won't we? We'll be all right.
Probably.
Rob.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
We'll see you soon.
The Match Ball.